pretty girl. She probably would be the homecoming queen, but currently she's kind of homeschooled, so I don't know. Her parents are here. They probably would say that every single day she is the homecoming queen. Avery Turnberg coming on up here to share her story.
All right. Hey, guys. Before I get started, I'd like all of you to stand up and join Selfie for Jesus with me. So everybody up! All right. Well, as Andy said, my name is Avery Turnberg. I am a sophomore, and I'm currently homeschooled, even though I went to Altoona beforehand. So tonight, I get to share with you a little about my journey with Christ. But before I get too deep into that, I'd like to ask you a question. By the show of hands, how many of you have heard the phrase or a phrase similar to you can handle what, I'm sorry. Woo, I'm getting tongue-tied. God only gives you what you can handle. How many of you guys have heard that or something similar to that? Thanks, Brennan. I assume that was you. Because you're my neighbor. All right, well, okay. So, over the past few years, I have had this said to me countless times. And at first, I really truly believed it. But as time went on, and more people said this to me, I started to doubt the same. And today, I stand here, and I know this phrase is not true. Now, before you guys all get mad at me and think I'm crazy or I'm mad at God, I'm not. It's simply, I'd like to explain why I believe this phrase is not true. So, a little bit more about myself. I have grown up in a Christian household. I attended church as many Sundays as possible. I accepted Christ into my heart when I was about in first grade, and I was baptized in second. And over the past few years, I have come to quite a few challenges, not only myself, but my entire family and my friends. I seem to always be injured. For those of you who know me, you probably see me on crutches or in a cast or in a sling or something of the sort. Or I'm sick. And whether it be from falling off a four-wheeler and being in an elbow cast or falling playing basketball and bruising my tailbone. It was everything in between. But it started to get worse. In April of 7th grade, I was running around the track in Fayette when I heard a pop in my left knee. And so we went to the doctor, and they told me I had Osgood-Schlatter, which I don't even really know what it is. Would you think I would? But it was so painful, I was put on crutches. Over the next 8 months, I was on and off crutches, whether it be from re-injuring it or from turning wrong, getting out of a car in a parking lot, or being table-topped at a football game. I was told I had Osgood-Schlatter, I had broken a bone, I had strained my ACL, LCL, PCL, and MCL, and had fluid on my ACL. After being off crutches for a month, I got sick. It was a week before Christmas break, and I couldn't breathe. It's such a problem. Every time I would breathe, I felt like I was being stabbed in the lungs. So we went to the doctor, and I was told I had a swollen trachea and pleurisy, which is an infection in the lining of your lungs. So, once I was back on my feet and back at school, I played basketball. It was, how many of you are basketball players?
Yep.
Woo! All right. Well, so I got 6 games into my school ball for middle school, and my feet randomly swelled up where I could hardly walk. It hurt so bad. So we went to the doctor. They did MRIs and x-rays, and they found nothing. But my feet were definitely swollen, like you could see it. So they put me in a walking boot for my right foot, because that was the worst one. And, bless you. And they decided they were going to run a blood test to see if I had Lyme's disease. Maybe there was an underlying cause. After the blood test came back, it was negative. They couldn't find anything wrong. So they sent me on my way, and 2 weeks after being in a walking boot, I was back to playing basketball again, which was great. And it's a tournament, and I'm in my second game, and I take an elbow to the temple, and end up with concussion. The concussion, which the doctor said should have been 2 weeks, lasted 2 months. So my parents brought me to Mayo in Rochester to figure out if we could get some answers. We walked away with nothing. I mean, there was no answers. They told us that it wasn't anything bad, like I didn't have cancer or anything like that, but I had no answers to go on. So I was supposed to go back 2 weeks later to visit a neurologist. Within those 2 weeks, I finally woke up for the first day without a headache. And I went to school, went on a field trip, stood up on the bus, and hit my head on the rack above, resulting in another concussion. You guys can laugh at that because that's kind of funny. I know, I agree. So once we went to the neurologist, he once again had no answers. We'd seen 3 doctors at Mayo, and nothing. And so we came home, and my grandma had a chance run-in with one of her old friends at a grocery store who had Lyme's disease and all kinds of other problems, and went to a doctor up north. And she was healed afterwards. Lyme's disease was gone, everything. But the problem was, you had to book out 6 months ahead of time, and there was no chance of getting in. So my mom called, and the doctor's office did not pick up. So we're like, okay, where is this going to lead us? A few minutes later, she decides to call back, and they answer. And they go, we just got off the phone with another patient who canceled. The cancellation is for next Tuesday. You can come next Tuesday, and you can be tested out. Like, that was amazing. Instead of 6 months, it was 5 days away. So we went up, and within minutes of being there, I was told I had Lyme's disease. I finally had an answer. So I remember walking away from that doctor's office. I'm going to get all teary-eyed. Sorry, guys. That I had an answer, and I was going to feel better after being sick for so long. Not being able to play sports, not being able to hang out with friends. It was just, oh! So I had an answer, and within weeks of being on the medicine, I was back at school, and it was just great. Over the entire summer, going into my freshman year, 8th grade year, freshman year, I was great. And then it comes to December, and I have a sensitivity to cleaning supplies. So if I smell them, I get horrible migraines. And I walk into my 4th hour classroom, and my teacher used cleaning supplies on my desk. I went home within the next hour and didn't make it back to school the rest of December or January or February. In February, we finally decided to pull me from public school, and I am now homeschooled. Homeschoolers aren't as weird as you guys think. We're pretty cool. You know. Woo! But, so, we never really found out what made me sick that second time around besides the cleaning supplies. But, through all these trials and tribulations, I have, me and my family, and my friends, and my friends' families, and everyone that's around me, my community, they suffered this with me. And as painful as it may have been, it brought me closer to God. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." In this one verse, he simply states the reason we are given more than we can handle. It is so we come to him. It is so we can trust enough in him to hand over our heavy, crippling burdens and let him carry the load. Remember that whenever you feel whatever you are facing feels more than you can handle, it probably is. God is calling you to let him handle your problem so he can give you rest. Thank you.
Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest, and I will give you rest.